I was gonna say, I got into a fight with the local agency where someone hung up on me because of something similar to that.
Welcome to Clicks and Bricks Podcast. We talk about the entrepreneur mindset.
If you get one shot at this, what kind of shot are you going to take?
If we forget who we are, they're going to forget who you are.
You've got an adversity story that's out of this world.
Everything from that Main Street brick and mortar to that billion-dollar manufacturer.
Alyson, thank you so much for joining us today. Can you tell the audience what you do for a living?
Sure. So I'm a writer and a digital marketer. I run a digital marketing agency called Starling Social, of which I am the president.
And founder, correct?
I am. Yeah, it's all. I run this ship. I've got 7 or 8 people working under me these days. So we've expanded pretty quickly. I've been in business since 2014. And yeah, it's been a great ride. I really am thankful for the work that I'm able to do and the amazing people I get to do it with.
Awesome. And you specialize in content creation specifically for social media or all kinds of content?
All kinds of content. So I'm a content marketer by heart. My background actually, so I've been publishing content online for 22 years. I'm 34 now, so it's more than half my life. I'm not sure if you remember what a GeoCities is. Do you remember what GeoCities was?
I sure do.
Oh
Absolutely.
my gosh. Okay. So I've been making content since GeoCities. I remember writing like really janky HTML for my GeoCities site. And I've been publishing content since then. So in addition to sort of knowing I wanted to go into this area, I also have a degree in rhetoric, writing, and communication. So I sort of have the balance of hands-on experience doing this a long time before like social media was really a thing. Like I remember when Facebook was new, and then having actually studied persuasive language and writing. And like I was literally just talking to someone yesterday about like Marshall McLuhan and Neil Postman. So these are things that I'm very like nerdy about. And Starling is kind of the intersection of both of those things. So like I said, we specialize in content marketing. So, but social media, digital ads, web copy, blogs, newsletters. If it's content, then we typically have a hand in making it.
One-stop shop to get all of your content created for you.
Totally.
Correct?
That's exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does your firm, what's the name of the company again?
Starling Social.
Starling
Like
Social. And the URL is the website address?
www.starling, STARLING, like the bird, .social. Have a little vanity URL
Wonderful.
that I'm really into.
And we will throw that up at the bottom here with all these new domain names, the TLDs, which is top level domain. There's hundreds of them now. You can get really, really creative with all kinds of different ways. And like the socials, you can really get down to there. I think they just came out with .vegas. All kinds of new domain names that you can go after and get creative with. It's not just .com, .net, .org, and .io anymore. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you started this firm in 2000. Did you say 14?
2014, yeah.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about what you were doing before you started this firm, and that transition from where you were to saying, you know what, I'm gonna be my own person, responsible for my own outcome, and start this company?
Oh my God. So I always knew I wanted to work in communications. I wanted to be a writer in some capacity. When I was 19 or 20, I think, I moved back to Winnipeg, where I live, from Toronto, another place in Canada. I was living there with a guy and it didn't go very well. So I came back and I walked into a government job with the provincial government of Manitoba as an accountant for Child and Family Services. They take care of like children's welfare. And it was just not the right fit. Like, I don't know if, no disrespect to accountants, but I don't have the personality to sort of sit behind a desk and crunch numbers all day. It wasn't a very good fit.
Right.
And I remember being so unhappy at this job and feeling so creatively unfulfilled that I got really depressed. I would have days where I couldn't get out of bed for like most of the day. And I really struggled. My mental health really took a toll. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to quit this job. I'm going to go to university and I'm going to become a writer. I'm going to study rhetoric. And I remember telling my dad that this is what I was going to do. And he was like, so are you going to become Stephen King or a journalist? Like, what are you going to do here? And I was like, I don't know, I'll figure it out. So I went to university. I studied rhetoric, as I mentioned. Um, and then I just kind of got a couple of jobs here and there after university. I worked for a like boutique, very small marketing agency. I worked for one of the larger, they didn't just do like traditional marketing. They also had like an in-house print shop and things like that. And then I wound up working for a real estate agent. And I managed, I have a weird interest in real estate. I was managing his admin and his marketing, and nothing just felt right. I always felt like I was a bad employee because I am very efficient. I like to be in charge of my own time, and I get really angry when people tell me that I can't go do something. As an example, in Manitoba, we have a lot of music festivals, and I want to take time off. If my work is done and I'm willing to not work that day or not get paid for it if I wasn't a salary position, because some of them weren't, I should be able to take that time off. And the narrative that I developed about myself was that I was a difficult employee, that I wasn't happy anywhere, and it was my fault. And so as I was working for this real estate agent and kind of butting up against a lot of this type of stuff, I picked up a freelance client. I'd never freelanced before. And I remember it was like writing 2 blog posts a month for like, it was like $100 or something. It was like really not a lot. But me at the time, I was like 24 or something. I was like, whoa, this is like, I can make money on the side. What do you mean? And my partner, my now husband, who has been running his own company since he was 19, was like, you know, you could do this all the time. This could be the way you make your living. And at the time, I was like, oh, there's no way. There's no way that I could quit having like a safe job with, you know, the paycheck that comes every 2 weeks and all that stuff. And he was like, well, how about you just see how it goes? Try and get a couple more clients and see how it feels. And so over the course of the next year, I branched out. I wasn't just doing copywriting. I also started doing social media management for a couple nonprofits in the province. And by the end of the year, I was making more freelancing than I was at my 9 to 5. So I quit, and I've been running Starling ever since. So that's kind of how I got here.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That is a wonderful story.
Thanks.
Now I'm gonna go for your throat just a little bit, and I think you've got a great answer here.
Okay.
The entry level to digital agencies today is pretty low, right? A kid that knows how to manage a Facebook, hopefully TikTok at this point, maybe buy some rudimentary ads, understands buyer persona a little bit, not really in depth, can start a digital marketing agency. And if he's really good with ads, and they are really good with ads, they can get right in front of the business owner, and the business owner is constantly bombarded with all of these ads, right? If you're a dance studio, you can buy the dance studio ad guy. If you're a gym, you can buy the gym studio, you know, across the board, right? There's no vertical that you're in today that there's not a digital agency that can solve your problems. A lot of these agencies are $5,000, $10,000, and they give you the solution that solves all of your problems. There's a percentage of them, and I'm not going to say what I believe the percentage of them are scammers and fakes and don't really put the real effort in to do the work. How is a business owner today supposed to know the difference between a fly-by-night firm and a firm like yours where you're, you know, all-inclusive, a holistic approach? There are some funnels that will change a person's life, but it's very few and far between, right? This is a system and a process that's put together, not just a magic wand. How is a business owner supposed to differentiate between the two?
So I would say the biggest thing is testimonial sharing and getting actual feedback from your clients about the quality of the work that you do, and having them be specific about what that feedback is. So working with Starling Social helped my company do X, or, you know, Starling Social's strategy around Google Ads helped us increase admissions by 20% or whatever have you. in addition to that, and I mean, lots of people can get testimonials. I think the biggest differentiator is
Or they
somebody,
can make them
an
up.
agency. Of course, yeah, and those should be real people. Like if you, I've actually done this myself. If you look at a testimonial, you should be able to find that person either as the business should be listed somewhere, look them up on LinkedIn, do your research. I think that that's a prudent thing to do. But in addition to that, I think that when a business owner is vetting an agency, it's not enough to just say, well, like I can do some ads. You should be able to speak to your process. You should be able to speak to the things that differentiate you from other competitors, because like you said, like let's be real, agencies are a dime a dozen, or a person who runs an agency, could just be kind of dialing it in. And frankly, a lot of them do. Even and I remember working for the older agency. I actually had an interesting experience about this. So the older agency that I worked for, that was more established, that did more traditional media and was kind of moving into digital, was able to do that because they had these existing clients that they kind of would go, well, we can just shoehorn some social media in there, or we'll just shoehorn some Google ads in. And because they had the existing trust from that customer, they were able to scale their deliverables without actually increasing the quality of what they were getting. As an example, we recently started working with a very large nonprofit here in Manitoba who came from a vendor. I believe they were in the States actually. And this vendor didn't give them any reporting. There was no transparency. They couldn't even break down what was on the bill. Like when this company was invoicing them, it was for a lump sum and it wasn't like an itemized list. Like there are things that as a business owner, you should look for and ask of the agency that you are either considering working with, or if they pitch you on something, do a little bit of research, talk to some other people, and come back with questions that help you assess whether or not that agency is actually competent. And I think the big thing, like now that I'm sort of workshopping this out more, is transparency. A good agency should be willing to always show you how your budget is being spent if they're doing ads. They should be submitting monthly reports or weekly reports, depending on the campaign. Like there are metrics to look for and signs that somebody is actually taking themselves seriously, and like not like the expression used was fly by night. So there are things that people can look for, but you're right, it can be really difficult. And as an agency owner, it's something that frankly I have to battle with all of the time, because people come to me and they'll go, well, you're charging me X amount of dollars, but I could get like my buddy's like kid to do it for like $200 a month. And my response to that is, well, you get what you pay for. You know what I mean? Like you're paying for that expertise, at least as far as we're concerned. But yeah, there's
Right.
definitely a lot of charlatans out there. But yeah, what I was going to say was, so I worked for this one agency that just sort of dialed it in. And then another agency that I worked for before I started working for myself, literally used to brag about swindling his clients. Like he had a
Oh
client
boy.
who was paying for him. Yeah, right. Like he had a client who had him, they were paying to publish blog content in addition to a couple other deliverables. So I think they were doing social and blogging and maybe one or two other things. And they literally had not published a blog post for this client in like 4 months, but were continuing to invoice them for it. And this guy, I can't even make this up. He turned around to me and he was like, well, if they don't notice, then that's their fault. Like, I couldn't even, I was flabbergasted. I still cannot even
Right.
believe. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of charlatans out there. And as a business owner, you have to really be diligent about asking questions. And, like I said, ensuring that your marketing partner has baked in avenues for transparency where they are constantly in communication with you one way or another, to make sure that nobody's missing a deliverable, that nothing is going by the wayside. And like I said, that the money you're investing either in a firm or in ads or whatever service is being spent appropriately, and you're getting the return on investment that you're looking for. Lots of thoughts
Right.
on
And
that.
yeah, it's a big thing. And I mean, the guy that said, that they didn't notice, it's their fault. I it's the wrong attitude, hands
Yeah.
down. I understand that a firm has a right to repair something that's broken, but
Mhm.
they should repair it once they realize that it's broke, right? I
Yeah,
mean, every company's going to make some
absolutely.
mistakes, but just
Yeah.
that's a really bad attitude. They deserve the content, and there could be a catch up or a discount moving forward. There's a lot of ways that you could fix that problem besides just going, oh well,
Yeah.
they got screwed and I
I
screwed them
couldn't even,
over.
I couldn't even believe, man. Yeah, it was,
Yes.
like I said, as a young, as a young marketer trying to sort of cut my teeth in the industry and to learn what the standards were. Like I had expectations around the type of marketer I wanted to be. I think I was still freelancing at that point, but I wasn't fully working for myself. So I was sort of in that like budding stage. And
Right.
that just blew me away. I couldn't get over that. I'm still like, I'm sure you can see it on my face. I'm like, how could you even do that to
Yeah.
somebody? Like you said, when
That's
you
a sign
realize
you need
it's
to be
an issue.
looking for another job.
Yeah,
If your
no
boss is
kidding.
happy that he's screwing somebody over, he's gonna be really happy when he screws you over. So it's time
Right?
to look for another job
And yeah,
if you have that approach. Now,
yeah.
I am a huge fan of exactly what you said, transparency and billing, right? I can deal with somebody screwing up a service or having the wrong order. What I can't deal with is billing mistakes and consistent billing mistakes or billing non-transparency. That being
Mhm.
said, I think I overdo it sometimes and line item out everything. But on the other side of the fence, a confused mind doesn't buy. So is
Mhm.
there a fine line in bundling versus a la carte services in this world for
Mhm.
the company, for the person that's starting either a new business, if it's an advertising firm or anything else, right?
Mhm.
Transparency is wildly important, but can you have too much transparency and not bundle enough to create confusion?
Mm, I think the best way to do it is to look at services as a series of sort of umbrellas that you bill under, and then get a little more granular in the invoicing. So for example, the way that we do this at Starling is we have sort of core services. So we have social media, social ads, pay-per-click marketing, copywriting, website copy, because that's often a different type. But when you look at the line items on my invoice, it says social media, consulting, PPC, blah, blah, blah. And then the description will say something specific to the customer. So management of clients, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn for the month of July 2022, website copy development, including these pages, that type of thing. So
Right.
I think that there are ways that you can, like I said, sort of have like umbrellas that you bill under. And then when you actually get to the invoicing stage, you can sort of get a little more granular, because having worked in finance myself, I know how annoying it can be to try and reconcile an invoice that is unclear. And again, like it just feels shady to me. Like it's just,
Right.
transparency is just good business. And there are definitely processes you can put in place, like the one that I just described, that sort of bake that into everything that you're doing. So everyone's always on the same page.
Absolutely. So you might do a bucket with bullet points on the
Mhm.
proposal, but then when you're
Mhm.
billing them, you'll say, 5,000 words on this blog post or so on and so forth. I like that. It's a good
Absolutely.
approach. Um,
Thanks.
businesses are getting taken advantage of on a regular basis. They know, some of them know it, some of them don't, right? It's
Mhm.
bad. I had
Yeah.
a, I had a conversation with a guy, this is about 2 years ago. He spent $1,500 a month on SEO services.
Okay.
I know that he's a franchise owner, and I know he has zero access to his website. And I asked him,
Yeah.
like, you're paying for SEO services, right? He said, yeah. I'm like, are they offsite or onsite SEO services? He said, onsite SEO. And I asked him why, and he said, because I have to have SEO. And I told him, I said, you don't even own the website. It's not your website. But he was spending $1,500 a month on SEO and he was getting absolutely nothing because the firm that he hired didn't even have access to do anything on the website. It was such a bizarre conversation. I just had to leave. I think you're being taken advantage of, but I don't know your entire business. So I'm gonna
Oh
just remove
man.
myself from the situation because I can't say anything nice here. And he was
Uh,
convinced that he needed SEO for
oh my
a
God.
website that did not exist for him. So it's a
That's bonkers.
it's a big problem. All right.
Yeah,
So you
I got
were
into it. Yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I got into a fight with the local agency where someone hung up on me because of something similar to that. I was onboarding a new client, or they were a client of mine, and I think we were trying to run ads through Facebook. And the way that this other vendor had been doing it was they were in control of the ad account. The client it wasn't their ad account. They weren't able to go and look at it. They couldn't
Right.
transfer ownership. And I was actually out at a cabin with my husband and like trying to like call and sort this out because we really needed to get this set up. And I said to the other agency, you need to walk this client of yours who worked with you for years through transferring this over and help them set something up. This is your responsibility. You were their vendor and they trusted you, and you need to help them do this. And eventually, like, we kind of got into this back and forth in this email. And I was like, I don't care that they aren't working for you anymore. This is good business. You help your client. You made a choice to not be transparent with them. And now this is how you solve for it. So one of the owners of the agency called me on the phone, on the old-fashioned telephone, and was like, you know, that we don't think that this is our problem. This isn't something that we should be dealing with. And I was like, I understand that that's how you feel, but your client and I feel differently. And I'll be sure, I think she called me after I said something along the lines of like, I'll be sure to let all of my colleagues and clients know how unprofessional and unhelpful you've been in this situation. And so she called me and kind of chewed me out. And I was just like, no, like, you have a responsibility. You made a choice to not give the data to your client in advance and set it up in a non-transparent way. And that's not how we work at Starling. I want all of my clients to have their own account so they can go in and look at it anytime.
Right.
That's fair, right? And yeah, she hung up on me. It was bonkers.
And this is really, really important for businesses that are buying ads or buying website development or anything along those lines. It's not as bad as it used to be on the website side, but custodianship. Who owns the content that you're paying them to create? In a lot of contracts, when you hire a firm to create content on your behalf, they own 100% of the rights to the content. They're letting you use it as long as you're a client. So it's an important distinguisher when you're deciding on if you're going to hire a firm. And if you're hiring a firm and you don't care and they're going to do a project and they're going to cradle to grave the whole thing, and you don't care, it lives and dies with that firm, then you don't need custody of the content that's created. But you own the company, you're running the company, you're paying somebody to do the content. You should own the rights to that content when it's over. That's my opinion.
Yep, I completely agree.
So
no, and our contracts work that way.
If you're a media
too.
buyer, that's an important distinguisher. And if they're saying, if you're hiring a firm and they say, oh no, we're going to use our Facebook account to deploy your ads. Just
don't like
if you want to use them because they're less expensive or whatever, just know that you're stuck with that firm for that campaign. You don't have the rights to the content when it's over. And I'm not going to say that that's a good business model or bad business model. It's just one that I prefer not to use. Right?
Yeah,
this is
why
I don't do ad spend for customers. Like we just don't do it at our company. Right? If they want us to set it up for them, we'll set it up for them on their account, but then they're in charge of their own spend. And I'll help them come up with some numbers and stuff like that. But it's a scary place to be. You paid for the content. You deserve it. It's yours. Right?
Absolutely.
That's it for today's show, folks. If you'd like to join my text line community, the number is 314-370-2871. All you have to do to join that text line is send me any question about business or technology. I'll do all the research, and I'll give you an absolutely free, totally unbiased answer. Get to work.